Hello and welcome to Inspired. I'm your host, Michelle Bohm, and this program is brought to you by I've Decided, your place for success and transformation happening right here in Peoria. And I am super excited because we have some great guests today and some exciting announcements. We are going to be changing Inspired a little bit. We're going to change the format of the show as I've Decided has grown and as I've Decided Media has kind of taken over here. We're really excited about some of these changes. So I want to introduce you to who will be my future co-host on a new show that will be in this time slot. Inspired isn't going away. We're just moving to a different format. But in this time slot, I want to introduce you to Reagan Ward from Leslie Tyler Designs.
Hi.
She is going to be our new co-host starting next month. The date is going to be November 5th. So you're going to want to make sure you tune in and see the new programming that we're bringing to you from I've Decided. But before we do that, I am inspired always by our guest, Joyce Day, because whenever I think of healthy living, healthy environment, healthy mindset, I think of Joyce Day with Grow Your Green Lifestyle. So welcome, Joyce. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thanks, Michelle.
If you are watching this on your favorite social media channel, I want to encourage you to share it with your friends and family because this is really where we're really going to talk about how you can change your life by changing your environment. And Joyce, that's really what you did initially, right?
Yes.
So for those that don't know you, you were a hydrogeologist.
Yes.
I like water scientist. She's a smarty water scientist, and you studied the environment and the toxins, and really tried to create a world that would eliminate those toxins from your family, from your home. Tell us a little bit about why you were inspired to do that in your physical environment first.
So my bachelor's degree is in geology and environment and natural resources, and then I worked for a few years out in the environmental industry, and then came back and got a master's degree specializing in groundwater flow, and ended up working in the landfill industry. Mm-hmm. And so I found myself about 7 years ago pregnant, and then having an infant. And it sort of put me in a position where I was really forced to look closely at what we were using in our home and all that sort of thing. I had this grand epiphany with my daughter. It's one of those turning points where you really, kind of changes the course of your life. And I was working on a technical report for the landfill company, and I came across this news article about this diaper factory that had exploded in Japan. They were storing a particular chemical there, and it was one that I was familiar with in the landfill industry because it was one that we monitored for in the landfills.
Wow.
So they used that chemical to make the filling of disposable diapers.
Wow.
So here I am, a mom with a little baby girl at home. She was about, probably about 8 months old at that time. And of course, we're using disposable diapers. And so making that connection between this explosive chemical, which obviously it's not explosive in the diapers,
right,
but it's a hazardous chemical that, if the landfill were to have one drop of that chemical show up in groundwater, they would be investigated and have millions of dollars of remediation and, years and years and years of environmental work to be done. And
takes
yet
that abstract thought of this thing and brings it right to what you hold dear.
It does. And then and then it's in a product that is on my daughter's body 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So that was my big turning point, and that's really when I got more serious. I mean, there was a lot of things that I had been doing more natural, but that's when I really started to look around. So I went on from there to realize that, the more I looked into this and got further in, I worked in in landfills. I was dealing with lots of hazardous chemicals and, having to live in a world where that was part of what we did. But for the average person, what I realized was that the biggest source of chemicals most of us face is in our homes.
Yeah, which is scary when
It
you think
is.
about it.
Yeah.
It is.
All of the products that you're putting on your skin and
Yes.
in your body.
Yeah, it's our cleaning products. It's our personal care products, our shampoos and conditioners, face washes, all those kind of things. And so, so I went on from there, and we just started making very small changes over time in our home. So one of the things that I think has happened, I listened to this TED Talk recently, and it talked about that Americans are suffering from apocalypse syndrome.
Oh.
That
I don't doubt that.
in the news
Yeah,
and the terrorist activities, and then and even just looking at the environmental movement. And I've been in the environmental industry for 20 years between school and my work, and I do think that we've kind of not, we've tended to approach the public from a place of terrorizing them.
Yeah, fear.
It's
If
all
you
about
don't
fear.
do this,
Right.
yeah.
That if we just scare the crap out of you enough, then you'll make the switch to natural.
Fear is a motivator, right?
Right, but I feel like then do we become deaf?
We
to
do.
that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're just kind of like, well, we're going to die somehow, so
Right.
whatever. Like
Yeah.
we stop trying.
And
but
how many times have I heard people say that? I mean, even close friends and family who know me, they know my history, they know how I feel about these sorts of things, but they're just like, well, you can't get away from chemicals. And so,
Right. So-
I can agree with that.
Maybe you can't eliminate, but you can reduce.
Definitely. reduce.
And I think that's the other mistake a lot of us fall into. We fall into the concept of we have to now be terrorized in order to find out what's to do. And then on the other side, we are afraid that it's going to be super hard, it's going to be super time consuming, and we don't know what to do and all that sort of thing. So it gets complicated, and people get paralyzed and they
Yeah,
freeze
I
up.
know I felt that way, totally overwhelmed
Yeah.
by all the information, and I don't even know where to start. So when I don't know what to do,
you just
I
give
do
up.
nothing.
You give up. No, I'm the same way, and I'm with my daughter. And I
Yes.
think, and I don't know if that's for women that we do have kids, like we start thinking about things differently. But even the chemicals, we used cloth diapers, but even with those, what are they being washed in? But I like what you said about your approach is little by little.
Yeah.
Like maybe today I just do, what product I'm using to clean my glass.
Right.
And that's it. And then, next week I'll try, what my wood cleaner is or
Yes.
whatnot.
I mean, it can really be that simple. And I even broke it down to room by room. I figured the kitchen was probably one of the biggest areas to start with. The bathroom is way overwhelming because there's so much going on in there. And so I just thought, well, I'm already working on so much in the kitchen in terms of, at the time I was making Ella's baby food. And I was a little over the top. She was my first.
So you went from
first
here,
baby. I was focused on a
As
lot
we all do.
with her. And so I needed the rest of it to be simple. I needed that switch to more natural stuff at home to be simple. And also we were on a budget. And that's one of the biggest things I hear. People are afraid it's going to be too hard. It's going to be too expensive because in our minds, we think that changing our environment to something more natural means that we now have to go to Hy-Vee and buy those really expensive cleaning products.
Right. Yes.
Which is completely not true, And we also think that we've been trained by our culture to think that we have to have a cleaning product for every different surface of our home.
Right.
right.
Like we don't need a cleaning product for the
Yes.
kitchen counters versus the bathroom counters
right.
versus the
The
kitchen
floor,
floors,
even,
versus, all the
Grandmas
stuff.
didn't have that.
No,
They
no.
turned out all right.
Yeah. So so really the journey for us became, what simple changes can we make that aren't going to overwhelm us, and then how can we fit it into our budget? And then also it's about giving yourself the grace that if you try something and you hate it,
And it doesn't work.
don't worry about it.
Right.
Like, just let it go. I can't tell you how many natural deodorants I tried for years.
Guilty.
Yes, that's
And my
really
mom was
common.
always like, that's
Yeah.
not working.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you're like,
Right.
okay.
Hint,
right.
hint.
Just
I
so
mean
you
it
know.
with love, but
Yes.
no. So, I mean, if you try something and you just absolutely hate it and it doesn't fit with your family, then it's okay.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Right.
Like, people for some reason have a lot of shame, and I think it is just the fear tactics over
Yeah.
the year. It's like,
That they think it has to be all or nothing.
All all or nothing, and you have to do it perfectly.
You
know.
do. And if you backtrack or if you quit doing it, there's judgment. Some of that comes from other people in our lives. You know, you have family members that'll be like, oh, because, well, here's the other thing we tend to do. Like, I've noticed, because I've done it myself, is that it's like we make some big announcement.
Yes.
We're going to go green at home.
Right.
And we like alienate our friends and family because we like, I mean, I remember with my stepson one time, he was going to throw a can of, an empty soda can in the garbage can.
Yeah.
And I like reached into the garbage can and got the soda can out and was like, there's a recycling bin right there. Now, looking back as a parent and as a person who now wants to inspire people to make changes, that sort of behavior alienates people.
Yeah.
It makes them think that you're a little bit of an
I've been a little
extremist.
guilty of doing that at work because I see, same things.
yeah.
This could be recycled, you guys.
Yeah.
Well, and then you learn like, well, this isn't recyclable, and if it's thermal paper, then it can't be recyclable, and if it's this type of plastic,
Yeah.
it can't be recyclable. So I feel like that again, that
Yeah.
overwhelmingness, you're
Yeah.
like, well, I'm afraid to do anything wrong. But yeah. So
Yeah, so making those changes is really about, you know, don't make some big announcement. Nobody really cares. And when you make the big announcement, you're inviting people to have opinions on what you're doing.
right,
And
hold
you're
you to
setting
it.
yourself up for that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now I have to do it.
Yeah, and now everybody knows that I did this, and so it's sort of like diets.
When you go on a diet, don't tell anybody you're on a diet.
Exactly. Oh, I'm on a diet, I'm gonna lose.
That's
yeah,
right.
no.
I just want you to randomly notice in 2
Right,
months
that
that
I'm
I've
getting
lost some
smaller.
weight. Yeah.
Right, and then if you don't, and I didn't announce it, then nobody's
Exactly.
I
the
would say
wiser.
maybe isn't that the opposite of I've decided what we're supposed to stick the stake in the ground and say we're doing this. But if it's something like this, maybe like wait, like, or just don't go all in.
Yes.
You know,
Test the
I'm
waters.
working on, I'm going to, you know, I want to change this in my environment, and these are the steps that I'm going to take to do it. But if I take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, I'm still moving
You're still
Still
moving.
step
in the right
forward.
direction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That
So-
is what I love so much about Grow Your Green Lifestyle, because it isn't an all or nothing thing. It's
Yeah.
what can I do today? Then what can I do tomorrow and the next day and the next day to change my life?
And simplifying is the key behind all of it. You don't need to buy, like I said, you look under the sink for a lot of families and they've got like 15, 20 different cleaning products
we
down
don't need
there.
that many.
You don't need all that stuff. We have a lot of real estate under we have lots of room down there because we don't have all that stuff. We just have a few key things. And the other question that I get a lot is, and I see it especially with women, is I'll be giving a talk and they'll be inspired and we'll get to the end of the talk and then they'll be like, okay, so I'm going to look at the back of my products. Now tell me which one of these chemicals, one of these chemicals should we be avoiding? And I'm like,
Right. Well, and I take the approach, like, if I can't pronounce it, I don't
Yeah.
need it. That's kind of
Yeah.
like, and I can't pronounce a lot. So I'm usually pretty good.
80,000 chemicals on the market and nobody really knows for sure because they're not required to be logged. They don't have to tell anybody. They can just make a new chemical and start putting it in products and sell it to us. There's no real requirements around it, especially personal care and cleaning products.
Right.
And the labeling around personal care is a little better, but the labeling around cleaning products there's a lot of like, you don't have to list everything, and also they can use what we call black hole, which is like fragrance. You know, one of the easiest things, guys, if you want to get down to some simple things, like super simple of making a difference in your life, and like what's something you could do that you don't even have to really think that hard about. One of the biggest things you could do is get rid of fragrance. Stop
Like
using
by unscented
by
lotion.
unscented everything,
Oh.
unscented cat litter, unscented deodorant, unscented laundry detergent, unscented everything. Because fragrance is a black hole in the labeling, and it's often fragrance that adds the greatest number of chemicals to your product.
Really? I did not realize
That's something
that.
to take away.
Yeah, they've done tests where they've collected VOC or gas samples, or like the vapors that come off of a lot of chemicals and cleaning products, and they test it, and there can be tens to hundreds or more chemicals in a single product. Because, I'll tell you a story. So I was talking to someone. I'm not gonna say any names, but I was chatting with a gal who worked at what's called a flavor lab. And they actually are a chemical lab that create flavorings for food out of chemicals, 100% out of chemicals. It's huge in the industry. Most companies keep it very down low, and it's a form of branding. They'll actually...
because you can brand a taste or...
Yeah, like certain fast food chains, again, I won't say names, but certain fast food chains will buy a chemical flavoring that tastes like seared burger. and they'll add it to their burgers so that no matter what meat comes in or what the cook does to it or whatever,
It
that meat
tastes
will
like-
always taste like slightly seared meat. Or they'll add it to their coffee because they want their coffee to taste like like you can do a taste test and say, oh, that's this fast food chain's
Yeah.
coffee.
Right.
So they add these chemical flavorings, but they keep it very low key.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, I wouldn't be announcing that if I was doing that.
It's labeled as a flavoring. And so anyway, I'm interviewing this gal and I'm sorry. I was chatting with her and interviewing like in a discussion about, and she was a chemist, she worked at this flavor lab. And so she was talking about how she was responsible for making, you know, those peach candies that you can suck on like a hard candy,
yeah.
you know, I'm not naming brand names here or anything, but just those hard candies. She makes the generic version of those, the chemical flavoring to make the peach candy. So it's a peach flavor that's made 100% out of chemicals.
Wow.
So I think she said it takes 22 or 32, I can't remember which, chemical reactions to get to that peach flavor. It takes a lot of different chemicals, and you have to go through lots and lots of reactions to get to such a complex flavor. We take flavor for granted because Mother Nature does it normally.
Right. There's like a peach,
But
take a
if
peach.
Yeah,
you know?
if you want to create something 100% synthetic as a flavor or as a fragrance, it takes a lot of different, very subtle chemical interactions to get there. So, and most of the time when they make fragrance, they want it to last a long time.
Makes sense.
So they'll add components of gasoline or other VOCs that we think of as pretty dangerous things to, like, we wouldn't want to rub gasoline on our bodies.
Right.
But they'll take chemical components of that because have you ever noticed if you get gasoline on your shoes or on your hands, like you smell gas forever? It clings to your body. And so they use those components in fragrance and flavor, not necessarily in flavoring, but in fragrance particularly because they want that product to stick to you for a long time. And then we think, oh, I smell like
I
fresh
smell
ocean
great.
breeze
Yeah,
for
forever.
3 days, you know?
Yeah.
That's not normal.
When you're smelling your skin 3 days later and it still smells like that, that's
Mother Nature
might be
doesn't work
gasoline.
like
Yeah,
that.
no, yeah, and we're just so programmed that it's like, oh no, this smells good. You know, we want our clothes to smell fresh
do.
for weeks after. And,
Yeah, but it's not normal.
Right.
So the price we pay is that we're absorbing those chemicals over long periods of time through our nose and through our skin.
Yeah.
And so the number one thing you can do, I mean, you don't have to go 100% all natural, but even eliminating fragrance, you have just eliminated a huge number of chemicals in your home and on your personal body. So
Now
This is what I love so much about you. Because every time I talk to you, I'm like, I learned something.
yeah, and it's not that hard, right? I mean,
It's
that's
not.
an easy thing to do.
Yeah,
That's
but what
simple.
would you suggest for, because we are going to get into holiday season, I'm one that I'm like, I love my candles.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of them are bad or not, but what would you suggest is like a good natural like fragrance for your home? So you
Sure. Well, you guys know I'm an oil user.
Yeah.
So if you want to use fragrance in your home, I totally get that. I like my house to smell good too. But so an easy way to do that is to just grab a good quality essential oil and you can mix up a spray or you can get a diffuser, which is a little machine that you put a little water in, add just a couple drops of essential oil, and then you're getting that amazing aroma in your home, but it's coming from plants.
Okay.
It's not
So-
coming from chemicals.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
so there we go.
So that's a great question. Essential oils are, I call them the easy button for going natural because they do the work that the synthetic chemicals do. Like we
Right.
like our cleaning products because they work, right?
Yes,
And
yeah.
they make our house smell good. And so when you make natural stuff at home, I remember in my 20s, I'm testing out all these recipes. And back then we didn't have all the stuff we have today.
You
So
can
I'm
get
trying
essential
the really
oils everywhere.
sucky, like baking soda and vinegar. Nothing against them. They're staples in our natural world, but they don't necessarily smell great. And you do have
This
to
isn't
work a little
fun,
harder.
cleaning with vinegar.
And I have to work a little harder. So when you add oils to the mix, they do the work that the synthetic chemicals do. They make your natural
Right.
products more effective, and they make your house smell good. So and they're a few pennies per drop. They fit right in, and they're amazing. So
Check that
definitely
out.
look into essential oils if you haven't learned about them. It's a great opportunity to kind of make that light speed jump
Yes.
to natural, and you'll be
Right.
much happier there than
Than
if
you will
just
be,
try
yeah.
to do the basics. So.
Well, Joyce, you always give us those simple steps. And I said that on purpose because I am loving your new podcast.
Thank you.
One simple step, if you have not heard it, or go Grow Your Green Lifestyle, and you can find it on there. But the one simple step, it's always, this is what you can do. I
Yes.
need those quick action items. and that's what you give us.
Yes. Well, I mean, there's a lot of complex topics out there, but one of the things I'm good at is because I have the science background, I can take these more complex topics, but I'm also just like everybody else in that if it takes me more than 30 seconds to do it, I'm not going to do it.
I'm not even going to try.
I'm a modern girl just like everybody else.
Yeah.
I've got kids and
Right.
work and everything else
Right.
to do. So I do like to keep it super simple. And if it's super complicated, I know I'm not going to do it. And if I won't do it, I'm pretty sure
Right.
most people aren't going to do it. So I like to narrow it down first. But the key to all of it is education. If you don't even know
Right.
like what you don't know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't make any changes. You
Right.
can't. And I think that's half the battle for people is they think it's going to be really hard. So if you can hear a little bit of information on a topic, and then I try to narrow it down to a couple of options, and then you pick something. What's that one simple thing that you can go and take action on and make changes in your life?
yeah.
I mean, it took us 6 or 7 years to make that total transition to natural stuff at home. And we are not perfect about it. There's still 1 or 2 lingering things that we haven't quite conquered. And that's okay.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
you take, again, 3 steps forward and 2 steps
back,
back.
you're still a step forward.
You're still moving. You're still
Exactly.
moving in the right direction.
Exactly.
So we are, of course, already going to be out of time, and I want to encourage everyone, if you have not been to Grow Your Green Lifestyle in the recent past, make sure you go there and check out One Simple Step. It is absolutely that simple.
Yes.
I love it, and I love what it is doing for our community here. You're making all of our environments more healthy.
Thank you. And I am going to be I'm working on some workshops that will break it down. In fact, I'm giving a talk in the next couple of weeks that's one simple step in the kitchen. So I'll break it down room by room and offer small workshops that you can come in and learn what's a few things you could switch up in your kitchen or in your bathroom, make those easy transitions, and just get you to take some action. I'll have some convenience items there and share my favorite recipes that you can do in 30 seconds or less.
Awesome.
And
yes.
so just again, hoping to inspire women especially to what are those couple simple things you can start doing this year to take care of yourself.
Awesome.
And it empowers you, and you
You
just
do.
feel
Feel
great
a little bit
about
better
doing it.
about you're
So-
as helpless.
Yes,
You know, you're
yes.
like, I have a little bit of control.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, again, Joyce, thank you for joining us today. Always inspired by Joyce Day and my new friend Reagan, who is going
yes,
to
I'm
inspire all of us
excited.
on our new show.
Yeah.
So if you have not visited I'veDecided.org recently, you need to do that as well. And you can find us back here. Next show will be November 5th, where Reagan and I will be co-hosting the new format for I've Decided Media. We can't wait to see you then. Until next time, I'm Michelle Bohm with Reagan Ward, Leslie Tyler Design, and Joyce Day, Grow Your Green Lifestyle. Thank you so much for inspiring us today.
Thanks, everybody.
Until next time.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
PeoriaLife.com